Anything on learning to adapt mid-set? For me, I'm not gonna lie, a lot of it is pretty subconscious, and just from playing so much and seeing different ideas that I understand. Like, I've seen most of this stuff before. Having certain things to pay attention to, I think it depends. It also depends on how your brain works. Like, I think Shep is much better at, like, adapting to, like, game plans and stuff, whereas I'm, like, really good at picking up on, like, small, like, habits that people have, and, like, I use that because that's just what my brain picks up on naturally. So just figure out, like, what you're most privy to, like, picking up on, I guess.
Yeah, like, I think adapting during a set is just an extension of adapting from neutral situation to neutral situation.
Yeah.
Like, being like, okay, he usually does this or this, and you kind of get a feel for, like, the options they like and stuff like that. And, like, that's adjustments you're making in-game, in stock, like, every single moment. And then over a set, they add up to what seems like a set-wide adaptation. But in reality, it's just a bunch of little adaptations that add up.
One thing I like doing is, like, I'll look for, like, just one or two things, like, that I want to start adapting to.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
like one big one in, like, Fox does is, like, if I up throw on a platform, how often are they going to tech in place, and how often are they going to roll, like, after up throw at early percent?
I think one thing that people need to know about looking at top level players, when you're looking at the neutral, don't try to, like, just look at, like, okay, how do they play neutral? That is so blanket and is not going to help you because you're not going to understand how a top 10 player plays neutral. What he's saying, and which I 100% agree with, and I tell this to all my students if you go to the Patreon VODs, is basically, you got to figure out what you're struggling with, and when you go to look at like the top players and playing it, single out what they're doing. Okay, I'm having trouble in this specific situation when Marth Nair's here, Marth does this type of Nair. Go through and watch for those interactions. What happens when Marth does that Nair? What do the Foxes do? How do they deal with it? And just try to focus in on that. Don't try to take in, like, all the information from the set, because you're not going to get it, and it's not going to be efficient at all. Yeah, you're not going to understand everything that a top-level player is doing if you're going to just go through and do analysis, so there's absolutely no reason to do anything but just segment it. Punish game you can do. It's a lot more simplistic interactions, and it's a lot more, like, one-player based, so you can do a punish game and kind of edge guarding, but neutral game and, like, how to play against a player, no. You cannot just look at a set and just be like, okay, they nared here a lot. That's all.
Like, what I tell people to do is I say always go, like, you can watch one VOD like 10 times, and what the important thing is that every time you watch it, go in with questions.
Yeah.
And then leave with answers. Say, okay, I've got 2 questions, and I want to solve these 2 questions. So you watch a set, and you figure out answers to those 2 questions you had. What do I do when Martha's in this situation? What do I do when Fox is in this situation? You get those answers. You can legitimately go back through the same exact VOD with different questions and learn more things.
Yeah. There's so much to unpack from every single one. And obviously also make sure you're watching, like, have the same question for different players too. Don't just watch it for one person, because one, it might have only worked against that person, and two, there might be an even better answer that you haven't seen yet, so it's worth it to have the same question and go watch like 5 or 6 different Foxes
I agree with that too,
and see like what all of them do, and then take like, and you can even almost turn it into a math quiz if you really want. Okay, against these players, what worked the most, and you could just figure it out from there, like what probably like statistically was the best option, even if your brain works like that. Some people's don't, but I know a lot of people whose brain does look like that have had issues with just like going through abstractly. You could literally turn it into an equation if you really want. It's not like, and that's not rocket science. It's like pretty simple, but you just have to know how to do it. And too many people waste their time with analysis or don't know how to properly do it. Questions though, like Shep said, going in with a question and being like, okay, I have to answer these questions from this set, or try to start looking for answers for these questions, is probably the most valuable thing you can do, especially for a neutral game, whatever you want to call a neutral game.
I think also a big problem with Melee is that people want the top level results where they're at, rather than like respecting kind of where they're at. Like, it's kind of like someone's like doing weightlifting and they're like, I want to lift 400 pounds. And so they just put 400 pounds on the bar and they try to lift it. And it's like, I fail every time. And it's like, right, because like you have to like lift the lighter weights to get up to 400. Like,
yeah,
like people will, like I said, they'll try to play neutral. It's like, there's no point in playing neutral if you can't punish. And even if you can punish, but you're not doing the right neutral openers, there's no reason to play neutral, because your baits don't mean anything. I was getting mad at my friends, oh wait, you know Sven.
Yeah.
I analyzed a set for Sven last night, and I was getting so mad because he says, oh, I was playing neutral scared. and then I watch and it takes him 6 neutral openings to take a stock every time, and it's like you can't like the don't like that's the wrong thing to think about. So it's like what people need to do is look at your weakest area and bring things up a little bit at a time. Like, okay, I want to get better at edge guarding, I want to get better at tech skill, I want to get better at reaction, I want to get a little bit better at neutral. But like, people just want to jump to the top and be like, well, I'll copy what Leffen does, and they watch a video of Leffen and they're like, oh, I learned that up tilt is good in neutral, and you're like, that is not the lesson. Like, what? But you guys don't have like a good enough model of what's happening in the game to actually understand what Leffen is doing. So you need to focus on copying the parts of the game that you do actually understand, because otherwise you just say, oh, Leffen up tilts a lot, I up tilt a lot, why am I not winning as much as Leffen does?
Also, with regards to neutral punish before neutral game, another reason that's super important is because if you're, and I just Shep's touched on this, but to like make it more clear, if I'm playing neutral against you, I don't care how good your neutral is. If you don't hit me hard, I'm not going to respect what you're doing, and I'm going to play against you completely differently. I'm way more scared of someone who could do 60 or 70% off of an opening and has complete dog shit neutral and has no idea what they're doing, than someone who can play super top level neutral but can't hit their standard up their up airs. And it's just like, okay, cool. Like, you played dope neutral. Congratulations. What are you going to do? Like, sick. Good stuff. So there's almost no point in even, like, you're not even going to be able to learn to play neutral properly against so many people if you can't hit hard, because they're not going to play neutral versus you. They're just going to outpunish you over and over and over and over and over again, and that's all that's going to be to it. Okay, cool, good stuff. You're probably really smart, and you have no idea how to actually convert anything off of it. I don't care. And then I hear so many level players like, dude, I outsmarted this guy so much. Blah, blah, blah. He's so bad. He just like texts a monkey. And I'm like, yeah, because he put in work to grind punish game, and you're an idiot and tried learning the game backwards. Every single person who got good fast, me, Zane, Plump, Wizzy, like the 4 people who got to top 10 really, really fast, every single one of them was carried by punish game until like top 50 level, and then we started learning how to play neutral. Wizzy still, in some cases, still doesn't know how to play neutral, but his punish game is so good, it doesn't matter, because if he's on and he grabs you, you're f***ed. You're literally just dead, and there's nothing you can do about it. Like, Zane didn't learn how to play neutral until really late. That's why he was just a Spacey Slayer until he started getting good and learned how to play against the other characters. I had no neutral. My neutral was horrendous. But if I touched you, you were dead. I literally played Junebug at Shots Fired in 2016, like a year into playing, less than a year, like 7 months into Melee. And he started the game, and he basically told me to say, it's like, yeah, I started, and I watched you play, and I'm like, oh, this guy sucks. And then you hit me, and I died. And I was like, what the hell just happened? And he said the rest of the set he was terrified. And he had to play, like, legitimate top-level Melee, despite me not even being close to top 100. Because if he messed up, he was dead. It's almost like, good. That's how you should be as an unranked Spacey. Get the punish game up, and then work.
The thing that people don't realize is that punish game isn't landing a 0 death. Punish game is not missing very many 0 deaths.
Yeah.
Like, people will get a 0 death once every 6 stocks, and they think they have a good punish game. And it's like, no. Punish game is purely about consistency.
Yeah.
It's not about you being able to punish hard. It's about you being able to not miss hard punishes.
Mm-hmm. And also, punish game doesn't just extend to your current string. Like most people, something that I think one of the reasons I'm better versus Marth than almost everyone else is because even if my quote-unquote combo ends, my punish game's still going. I'm really good at continuing the pressure string and not letting them reset to neutral. Punish game to me continues as long as you don't let them reset to neutral and you still are pushing in an advantage state. Whatever you want to define advantage state as, I don't care about the specifics, but you're still in the driver's seat. You can still control what's going on. That's part of punish game too. It's not just, oh yeah, I got 5 up airs off the top and then he died. Can you actually continue the pressure after the combo is over? Can you actually keep them on their back foot? Can you make it so that even if they technically got out of the string, you're still going to kill them before they have a chance to really reset? That's punish game too.
Like sharking.
Yeah, sharking is huge.
Same thing. I think that like getting tutored for like a long period of time is not really that good, because then it's kind of like you need to like learn to. It's like
to learn.
Yeah, like you can go to a top player and then you sort of want to like understand what direction they're coming from.
Yeah.
And it's sort of like when I had Drug Fox as like a coach for me for Summit, like we did a lot of analysis together, and while it's happening, you're going, wow, like I'm learning so much. Like I'm like this is like amazing. Like what I really need is like hundreds of hours of Drug Fox tutoring, and it's like, no, what you need is to try to understand what he's doing with his analysis
And
that's
learn how
helping
to do
so
it
much,
yourself.
and then doing that yourself. And if you don't pick, if you're not becoming less dependent on your tutor over time, you're not really learning as much as you should be. And I think that what people should do is they should cycle it of like, you get a few lessons, then you try to run with that for a little bit, and then if you kind of stagnate again, you come back and you try to get like, you come back to them to get like a boost of like, my model is capped for some reason, I'm confused, and then they sort of give you more tools with which to analyze, and you're like, thanks for the tools.
Yeah.
And you take those tools, you push them as far as those can go, and then like on your own, and then you go back to getting more lessons.
Yeah.
It's hard because like Sammy, his waitlist is so full, so if you like dip, you probably won't be able to get it back.
I mean, you could always ask him to take breaks.
Well, I think that to some extent,
once you get in after like 5 years of waiting.
to some extent, and this is like not coming from a biased perspective. Like if I felt this wasn't true in some capacity, I wouldn't like continue doing lessons with people who've already done them for a while. If you've learned how to take like parts of their analysis style, there is definitely diminishing returns in that respect. There are some students of mine who actually keep the lessons as a way to like not get lazy. Like I actually have a few people who take lessons, and they specifically told me it's like I need structure and someone like to be on me about it. It's like, okay, I have to be ready for this lesson with him. If I haven't improved on what I've been trying to work on, it's going to be like a waste of time. Like what the f am I doing then? And so it's a way for them to kind of motivate themselves to like continuously work on stuff. Like I get lazy with certain things that I need to work on for sure. And I'm sure if I took like lessons with Sammy and I knew every month I had to be, okay, whatever I taught the last month, it better be at least being worked on by the next month, I'd probably be a lot more motivated to fix them, even though right now I'm not. So that definitely is still helpful for some people, but I do agree that in terms of the actual improvement process, there's definitely diminishing returns after a while. Like even after we only go over 3 matchups, it's like, oh, but there's like 5 more matchups. It's like, yeah, but I've kind of shown you how to like go over the matchups at this point, so you should be able to do it by yourself, and then just like message me questions if you're unsure of like a certain situation, which is what I tell most of my students. That once we've had a few like 3 or 4 months of lessons, I kind of tell them, like, okay, like, I want you to go do this yourself. Don't ask me every question. If you're stuck, obviously you can ask me something. But I actually, it's like homework, I guess. I basically start giving them homework, like, do this yourself. I don't want you, like, relying on me. I'll go over sets with you. I'll play netplay with you, and I'll give you my thoughts. But I need you to do this yourself and, like, think for yourself. Which is very important for people to be able to do.
Yep.